Welcome to another video for GDS WinBidPro version 15. This time we're going to talk about tabs number 11 and 12 in the drawing window, and that would be the horizontal and equal horizontal tabs. So let's actually start with a new elevation so we can get something clean going here. And I'm just going to type in fourth elevation. And we can pick the same framing system as the previous one. Remember, if we do that, if whatever changes were made to the framing system in the previous elevation, those changes will carry over to this new elevation. So if you wanted to either change change framing systems or go back to the default system, the way it was set up for number 4144 in this vendor, you'd have to hit select frame and then pick it from the list. But otherwise, when we click OK here, it's going to take all the information from the previous elevations framing system configuration. So something to keep in mind. All right, so let's make 6 panels and call it 222 width, 120 height. And then we'll see our basic rectangle here. And then, so now we're ready to add horizontals. So we'll click the horizontal tab. We'll click add. And then before I talk about the different types of horizontals, it defaults to the first type. So that's your standard horizontal. And it's going to default also to adding from a height you specify or at a height you specify. So that's starting from 0 at the bottom to the bottom of the horizontal that you're adding. So let's say I need one at 20 inches. I can type in 20. It's going to default to all panels. I can hit enter and enter again, and then it just draws it all across. And all I have to do to keep adding them is I could hit 36. I can even hit tab and enter. So there's a lot of ways to make it quick to enter these horizontals. So that's when you add them in all panels. So now if I want to add some at 50 inches in selected panels, I type in the height. And again, that's from the 0, the bottom of the elevation, to the bottom of the horizontal. And I click selected panels. And I can just say 2 and 4. I can click whichever ones. I can also say every other one beginning with 1, every other beginning with 2, that type of thing. So now I can just click on the add to drawings, so it adds those in. And so that's how you do that. That's selected panels, all panels. Another option here is add horizontal above the highest previous horizontal. So let's say I'm adding horizontals in specific rows again, or columns, bays, panels. Let's say I add those in and I want them 20 inches above the previous horizontal. What it's going to do is look at the bottom height of the horizontal that we've entered. So this one is 36. So let's say I want to add to panels 1 and 6. So I'm going to hit selected panels, do 1 and 6, hit OK. And remember, 20 inches above the previous horizontal, add to drawing. And you'll see the um, oh, you know what it did was it picked up the previous horizontals in the selected windows. So it's kind of screwy then if you want to add them to selected panels. It's a little easier if we do across the entire elevation. So that's something to take note of. Let's go ahead and delete those ones we just added. And we hit delete. And it might be that it's looking at the list, and the last one on the list was 50 inches, and it made it 20 inches above that. So even though we specified the panels, it wasn't really picking that up the way we want it. So keep that in mind. So let's do it for just simple all across the elevation, all panels. So I want it 20 inches above the previous horizontals, and I add a drawing. So that's simple. So the second row here was 36 inches high at the bottom, and then it's 56 for the one above it. So that's basically how that works. Now, let's talk about the types of horizontals. So these types of horizontals, there's 4 types. To really understand that, we can go back to the Layout tab and then edit the framing system, or we can hit under Elevations, we can hit Frame Sys here. So in the framing system, we have standard material here, so that's your standard horizontal is 1.75 inches. We can actually have different profiles of horizontals here. So I can have a 2 inch, a 4 inch, a 4.5 inch. We're defining the profiles of those different types. Now we would have to tell the program what part numbers. So our standard horizontal is right here, and there's two components to that. So I would have to enter in whatever part numbers are needed for those non-standard, those optional horizontals. So you can always type them in if you know them. You can click in this field, and then you can right click to get the parts list and insert the part. So those are the ways you would add those. Um, I'm just not going to take the time right now. So once we do that, we have the different types of horizontals configured. So when I go to add them, let's say I want to add a type 3 horizontal, and I want to add it at a height of 80 inches in all panels. So when I hit that, you'll notice the profile is different. That's a 4-inch profile that I defined. So it's a great way to, if your drawings require a variety of sizes of horizontals or components, you can use these features, this type feature for that. So that's how that works. So fairly straightforward. You can pick the panels. You can do all panels, 4 different types of horizontals. Uh, from the bottom height, you can do it from the previous horizontal height, that type of thing. So now for equal horizontals, this is actually real simple, but let's do a new elevation for this one. So fifth elevation, and again, I'm going to pick the same framing system. And let's just say this is like a curtain wall job, and there's 10 panels, and it's 350 inches wide, or in this case, we could say it's 24 feet, or actually 26 feet. So I'll put a foot mark, and then I'll do inches, 10.5 inches. And so that's our width, and it's 200 inches tall. So it's going to draw that opening for us. And what I want to do straight away is go to equal horizontals, click add, and all it's going to do is divide this up into equal rows. So if I say I want 4 rows of horizontals, I put a 4 in there, or let's make it 6. 6 rows of horizontals equally spaced, and it's going to, again, we have the choice to add the different types of horizontals. That's a little weird because we're doing them equally divided anyway, but you can at least pick one. You're not going to really mix them up in this case, but you can pick which type you need for this framing system since they're defined. And you can also pick selected panels, but let's just do all panels, 6 rows of horizontals, hit added drawing. So it's all divided up equally. So automatically our columns are divided up equally, the panels, but now the rows of horizontals and daylights are divided up equally. So if I zoom in, I click on my drawing and scroll with my wheel, all my daylight openings are actually equal. So that's what equal horizontals is for. So if you need a quick way to enter rows of horizontals, make all the daylights equal, that's how you'd want to do it. So that concludes this video for horizontal stuff. Thank you.